episode 21 of Sanj Surati Talks. I want to thank the audience that we have listening right now, because we're getting so much good feedback from all of the conversations that we've been having over the last couple of years now. I can't believe it's been a couple of years. I've got an amazing guest for you. She is someone that I've met a few times from my experience working within the acting space. She's an incredible energy. Like whenever I've been around her, she kind of gives off this aura that's really cool and engaging and exciting. And I feel like she's got a really strong story, a really unique story for you guys that are listening. Please welcome to the stage the Argentinian actress, the wonderful Cinthya Klein.
Oh my God, Sanj, that was an incredible introduction. Thank you for that.
No worries. I mean, I'm speaking the truth. You're an amazing energy, and it's really lovely to meet you. And I'm so glad we got you on the show.
Oh, you're sweet.
No worries. There's people that are listening to this who don't know much about you. Give us a brief intro into who you are and what you're about.
Okay, I am from Argentina. I was born in Buenos Aires. And I studied business management in university, but I had done a lot of acting when I was younger, especially since kindergarten and up until high school. Then because of life, because of my family, nobody really thought that acting would be, a good career to follow. So I was like, okay, what do everybody in my family do? Oh, or they're economists or engineers, or they have studied business management. So I was like, yeah, I'll go down the business management route. That sounds great. A few years in Argentina, usually it's 5 years. So I started having a bit of a existential crisis, and I think a lot of people might relate to this. But you start questioning yourself, like, "Wow, does this really make me happy? Do I really want to do this for the rest of my life?" I started thinking, why isn't this a great time to go out there and start doing courses on everything and anything that comes to my mind. So I did a few courses, first on writing, then on art. And then I was like, you know what? I used to love acting. Why don't I try and find an acting course while I'm in university? Yeah. So I did. And I found one that followed Lee Strasberg's method of acting in Argentina. And I got in, and I was there for 2 years until I graduated and got my business degree, and completely fell in love with it again. And I was like, wow, I really want to do this, but I feel like I want to take my training to another level,
Yep.
So I applied to the Lee Strasberg Theatre and Film Institute in LA, and I got in. And I went and I lived in LA for a year, where I did the 1-year conservatory. And I graduated. And although I loved the school, I loved the training and everything I got to do there, I feel like my heart was in London, where I got to live here a little bit in 2017. So right. I decided to move here. So now I'm living here. I'm working as a sales executive at Dry Lab Media Tech. So it's been a ride.
What is the Lee Strasberg theatre style?
Okay, so Lee Strasberg's method of acting is most commonly known as method acting.
Right.
His method was based in Stanislavski, but he added a lot of exercises to it that he made his own method. It was pretty controversial in the US. Right. And it still is today, because I think that some actors just go a bit beyond, and there's a fine line between sanity and going a bit nuts for getting into character, Lee Strasberg was incredible. I mean, the first 2 months or 3 months I was there, actually there was an economic crisis happening in Argentina, and I had certain amounts of money to stay there. And unfortunately, because the currency depreciated so much, I got to a point where I wasn't going to be able to stay in the school anymore because I couldn't afford it.
Right.
And I was talking with my teachers and my mentor there, and they all told me apply for the merit scholarship at the school. And so I did apply for the merit scholarship and I got it. So that allowed me to stay in the school for the whole year. And learn so much from my tutors. Usually in the classes there, you would start doing relaxation exercises where you start being more in tune with your body, and then you would go and do sensory work, and it depends on what stage you are in sensory work. You could be working with maybe redoing the smell or the touch of that morning coffee you had that morning. Wow. Or maybe more advanced would be trying to recreate things you've lived in the past, or even try to recreate sensorially stuff that you've never seen before, people you've never met before. So using a little bit more of the imagination. Which is super interesting, and I think I will never forget. I was once doing a sensory, being best friends of like Santa Claus elf, and I was like, wow, this is wild, because it gets to a point where you really feel things, Wow. It's because every day you're working at it, and then suddenly, wow, you know what? I'm actually touching this little elf's hand, but you're not, it's just your imagination. And because you're exercising it like a muscle every day, it really does become real and feel real. It's mind-blowing, and it's a bit crazy.
Wow. How did you find out about that method then? When you were exploring schools to go to, how did you find out about that, the Lee Strasberg method in Argentina?
Yeah, so actually, I was, researching, okay, are there different techniques in acting? Like, what are they? And they were like, yes, Stanislavski, Bertolt Brecht. And then you had like Stella Adler, Meissner, Lee Strasberg. And I think just by researching and learning a little bit more about each one, I was like, you know what? Actually, I love little things of all of them. I was like, I wish I could find one that just has a bit of everything, but unfortunately I didn't. But I found one on Lee Strasberg. Then I just completely fell in love while I started going to classes there. And I think as well, one day I was looking at one of these videos online on like actors on actors, and then I heard like Angelina Jolie went to Lee Strasberg Theatre and Film Institute, and I was like, okay, sold.
So you studied that in Buenos Aires for would you say 3 years, was it?
2 years.
2 years, sorry.
Yeah.
And then you went to LA.
Yeah.
How long were you in LA studying that method for?
So in LA, I was there for 1 year, one complete year, no holidays in between. So yeah, and intense.
And what was that experience like compared to your Buenos Aires experience?
You know what? Yeah, it was very, very different, because this was a school where you had so many different teachers and mentors, and they all do different style of acting, as well as following Lee Strasberg's method of acting. And it was a bit mind-blowing, because you were able to get to see and understand their view on this method through their own view. I think that every teacher adds their own thing. So in Argentina, I was always getting Lee Strasberg through Lizzie, who used to be my teacher. But then in the US, I was at Lee Strasberg Theatre and Film Institute in LA. I was getting like, okay, Carlos, who is showing us about, the sensory work with imagination. But yeah, imagination is also very linked with Stella Adler,
Right.
So he would also encourage us to learn a little bit about Meissner and a little bit about Stella Adler and how that has a connection to Lee Strasberg. And yeah, how getting a little bit of like all of this method of acting just will really help you understand what works for you and what doesn't, It's because at the end of the day, you're trying everything, and you need to try to see what works.
What was it like living in LA for a year?
Oh, crazy, man. Like, I think I never expected to see so many people having like psychotic attacks on the street.
Yes.
Yeah. Have you been in LA?
One of my best friends actually lives in Silver Lake.
And
she used to live in West Hollywood, and whenever I go out there, I always stay with her.
Yeah.
And it's great. LA is one of my favorite cities. It's fun. There's some great people. But there, and also New York, I found there's a lot of people that I feel like they've gone there with dreams.
Yeah.
And because there's a huge drug culture out there, a huge party culture out there, some of these people end up going into a very dark place mentally.
Absolutely.
And the problem with the US, I find, and I mean this with respect, with regards to how they look after people, is because there's no NHS, they don't really support these people that have mental issues. There are charities and there are institutions that do support them, but they're so overworked and so under-resourced that it's basically like my view on LA is like, don't walk around, get an Uber or drive or whatever it is, but don't walk around, because you can bump into some very dangerous characters.
Yeah, but that's so true. I remember like one of my first days, I was there, and I was like, coming from a third world country like Argentina, really in Argentina, you can't walk on the streets because it is highly probable you're going to get mugged or robbed,
Wow.
So literally I was there. I was like, I can finally walk on the street. I can be free, and I used to walk everywhere, and people will ask me, oh, you don't have a car? And I'm like, no, not really. Like, I love walking everywhere. But the things that you see on the street, it's like you really start to know where you're living and the people that are around, and as well, the great problem with people living on the street in LA, right?
It's really sad. I don't know what the solution is. I mean, I do know what the solution is. We need to, governments need to change their mindsets and really support the people that, majority of these people pay a lot of taxes, or they're part of the communities, or they're part of commerce, and it needs to be looked after. But it's interesting. And there have been times where, again, I love LA, but there's been times when I've been in LA when I've been afraid, scared of my well-being, I'm like, oh my God, that's terrifying.
Man, downtown LA, it's another world, literally. Yeah, absolutely.
But the beauty of LA, I've met some of the most wonderful people there.
Absolutely.
From a creative perspective, whether it's film, whether it's music, even art, they're so open to stuff. If you've got an idea, you can make it happen. You just need to be very passionate, and you need to connect with people. It's great for networking.
Absolutely. I really think that the amazing thing of LA is literally, or you might take an Uber, the guys in the film industry. You go to Starbucks, they are trying to be actors. You go to Target, and they have everybody has something to do with the industry. Yeah. No matter who you talk to, no matter you're walking around on the street and there's a producer, there's a writer, there's a director, that's the lovely, lovely thing about LA. And as you say, it's a cooperative community or collaborative community, you know, and everybody knows how hard it is to get in the industry. So everybody's like so open to like, oh yeah, let's get together and do this and do that, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's that's really energizing. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, what I do love about it is you can go to a party. The city is built for film and TV. That's what it's built
Absolutely.
for.
Absolutely.
Like that's how it functions. And you'll speak to someone, and they're working on something, but they're having, because I'm like a comedy writer, they're having trouble with some lines, and they're like, oh, you do comedy, can you help out? It's like, just give me an email, or I'll write you some jokes or whatever, or you can you meet someone and they've got a skill set that you're into, or you need, and I'm working on this, can you help me? I can help you. It's great. Like,
it's amazing.
That is really great.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But I think it can be a lonely place if, like any city, if you're not part of a community, that's the main thing. Talk to me about your community in LA. So you must have met some friends, and you must have had some really good kind of fun times out in LA with
Oh, absolutely. You know what? I had such a good time with everyone in the school. I think for me, I was so focused on learning, on getting my craft to the next level, as well maintaining my merit scholarship, that I was like 100% focused,
Yeah.
And if you ask me, oh, where did you go in LA? To be honest, I didn't go to many places because I was like, game is on, I was like, I'm here to learn everything that I want to learn. And I think, a lot of people might know that sometimes it is good to have a balance. And although I had a great, great community, I think I put myself in a place where it got a little dark sometimes, because I was working so much on my characters. And sometimes I was like, at the same time preparing 7 different characters. And that can be a lot, and actually you can lose a little bit that fine line between reality and that fictional imaginary circumstance that your character is going through. And I think for me that got a little hard at the end in LA. But thankfully, I was like, okay, I think this has been enough, I think it's time to move on, because it is good and healthy for a human being to really, have a balance in life.
Yes.
And to be honest, there's so many people that go through that at the Strasberg as well, because especially in method of acting, because you're drawing so much from your own experience, but as well from your own traumas. So that can be heavy, and sometimes if you're doing so many characters and they're all like psychotic murderers or this and that, it can get to a point like, whoa, I need to watch like a puppy video, or like or like something just to cheer yourself up,
Yeah. So how do you manage that? So the reason why I ask is I've been an actor for a while, but it's only recently that I've started doing more auditions than I've ever done in my life. Like, it's every week I'm doing like 3 or 4 auditions, and it's great. It's like a wonderful opportunity. But sometimes, when you're creating these characters, you have to kind of delve into parts of your memory that are can be quite upsetting. And I'm only now learning how to get the balance right, or how to switch that on and off in a way that's okay for me mentally. How do you do that? How do you, like you said, when you were studying this course, there were times when it got quite hard for you. How do you pull yourself out of that, and how do you move forward?
So one of my mentors once said to me, as it is as important to get in as to get out, of your character. So you're doing exercises. I don't know, maybe it is for some people, listening to a song is good, gets you into character. For other people, it's like thinking of your past memories, or whatever works for you, you know. But as I have things in my toolbox that I used to get into character, now I have a toolbox to get out of character. And for me, literally is, okay, I'm going to start watching like a whole collection of like puppy videos, like cute videos of like animals,
right.
or just something that really, really just completely detaches me from the character I just did, and just stops me living that imaginary circumstance that the character is going through, and just be present, maybe go for a walk, listen to a really, really strong, positive song, maybe call someone, have a conversation, like try to draw everything back to being like present. You're okay. You're not that character. Let them go and like keep going with your life, you know?
Just with regards to getting into those characters,
yeah.
has that affected your mental health?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think it got to a point when I was in LA where it got tough, because you know, if you're doing 7 or 8 characters in a week, it's a lot. It's a lot to take on, and you basically have no time to be yourself. You're studying these characters, you're preparing these characters, you're doing improv, or then you're putting the scene, you know, and then you're putting the play or whatever it is. And you have so little time for yourself that it's like all these things that are occurring to all these characters can be very, very overwhelming. And sometimes I wasn't sleeping very much. I was crying a lot, you know.
Wow.
And I was like, because you get so emotionally attached, and it's like you get to a point where you empathize so much with these characters, and you're like, wow, really, like, wow, if a person really goes through that, like, I feel so bad for them, and I'm so sorry for them, and it's like I wish I could help them, you know. But yeah, I think for me it was a learning experience to be like, okay, all good with that, but I need to understand and learn that those are fictional characters. Some of them, you know, they might have drawn a lot from you know, the real history and everything. I remember once there was this character as well. She's actually a really, really important female character here in the UK.
Right.
Her name was Vera Britton. There's a movie about her as well called Testament of Youth. I don't know if you've seen it.
No.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's about this woman. She goes through the First World War. But before that, she wanted to go to Oxford University, and you know, her dad is like, oh, why are you gonna study? Like, you're a woman, you need to go and get married. And she fought so much, like she fought her family to please let her go to Oxford University. And then her brother really helped her get there. She met her boyfriend and future fiance through her brother as well. And then when she gets to university, like, her brother dies, her fiance dies. There's huge amount of history and letters that she has with her brother and her future fiance, and it's heartbreaking, you know. And It's like, and this woman after that fought for peace, for equality, for women's rights. She's an incredible woman, but how she describes everything she went through is heartbreaking. And sometimes as actors as well, we can relate no, to everything that's happening to our characters. So it can move you. It can move you a lot. But yeah, I think that, I mean, it's really useful to get into character, try to empathize a lot, right, with who you're trying to portray.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, okay, but I'm actually not in the First World War. I don't have a brother, he has not died, and I don't have a fiance that has just died. It's like, okay, Cinthya, bring yourself back. Now we're in 2022, we're doing a podcast, and let go, But yeah, I think it's because as actors, we are such emotional beings, and it can get really lonely. And yeah, I think that there is a lot of depression if you're an artist alone and you're living life. I don't know how you say it in English, but it's like your blood's boiling for feelings, for connection,
Yeah. That's a very interesting terminology. I'm assuming that's an Argentinian thing. The blood is boiling for. That's wonderful. So I guess ultimately, it is a skill set, acting, and there's a couple of people I've spoken to about, managing your mindset when you're in this world, because it can be quite taxing on you mentally. And you're right, you have to get that balance right between the job, which is a beautiful job and a wonderful job, and it has so many wonderful rewards to it, not just fame and cash, but also fulfilling as a working role. But at the same time, it's only 50% of your life. Like, you have to have friends, you have to have
absolutely
around you, family. You need to be, you need to be passionate about other things as well, whether it's, I don't know, fishing or sports or whatever it is. And to, as you say, bring yourself back to who you are as a within the reality that we live in.
Absolutely. And how important now is to know yourself truly, know what you love, know what makes you happy. And if you don't hide yourself to go and discover, no? It's like, maybe you're a certain age, but nothing defines you. Like, your age doesn't define you. It's like, don't be scared to just go out there and find out more about yourself,
Yes, no, absolutely. You touched on your family briefly when you started off. You said that they had a view on people that went into the creative arts, like acting.
Yeah.
So talk to us about that, because you're not the only actor I've spoken to that's had to deal with that. And even though it's a natural thing, because obviously, your families care about you and they love you and they want the best for you.
Yeah.
For them, particularly in my community, being an Indian, I've got friends who are from ethnic communities as well, whose parents look at them and don't truly understand why someone would want to be an actor. How do you talk to us about your experience of that and how you got through that?
Absolutely. I think for me, I had to first understand that my parents had their view and I had my view on things. And that might be different because of the way that we look at life. I think my parents were born in a time where in Argentina and Latin America, there was so many women that didn't have jobs and they married, and I think my parents have always wanted me to thrive in the professional, how can we put it, like in a business environment where there were very little women, for me to how you say it in English, but put my footprint on the sand, no, and make an impact and start attracting other women to do the same thing. I think they always had And as you said, really good intentions of like having my back and maybe, in inverted commas, knowing what's best for me.
Yeah.
But I think for me, it was really important to make them understand that I am the one who knows what's best for me.
Yes.
And I am not someone that just from one day to the other will say, oh, yes, this is what I'm going to do the rest of my life. No, it's like I go out there, I try things, I do courses, I see, I try to get things on their feet to try to understand, oh, what does this make me feel? Does this make me happy? Or like, not really, no? And yeah, it's because I really tried things that I was able to reconnect with this passion that is acting. And yeah, I had to, I knew it was going to take time. It's not easy to change someone's perspective from one day to the other.
Yeah.
I think it's a seed that needs to be planted and watered. And for that plant to grow or that tree to grow is gonna take some time. And the only thing I can recommend is be patient.
Yes.
Try to understand that they were not born in the same time as you, their reality was really, really different. And maybe even the way that their parents treated our parents is very, very different than the way our parents treat us. But maybe we have another thing in mind. But, it's okay. It's about being empathetic with your parents, understand that it's okay that they have a different view,
Yes.
But at the end of the day, you are responsible for your own happiness. So I would say do not get unmotivated if your parents are not on your same boat. Maybe you have to start this path alone, but maybe while you're on the road, they'll come and meet you and walk with you.
Yes, yeah. Well, one of my friends, he's now becoming a successful actor, but for a long time, his father didn't truly value his vision of becoming an actor. But it wasn't. I think he got a part in a really good TV show, and his dad watched the TV show, and then his dad came in and said, "Wow, I just watched this TV show. That's it's a really good thing." And I think for him, it was such an important moment for him to have that that kind of well thought out discussion with his father, because it meant a lot for him to have his father appreciate what he loves.
Absolutely. I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah. But I agree with you. Like that, having patience and having empathy is, there's such powerful traits. They if you have that for everything, you will succeed, or you will at least have a semblance of understanding and a wealth of experience that can make you feel better about what it is that you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
You touched on briefly, just with regards to that lady Vera Britton. She obviously had to, in the face of such provocation, had to deal with a lot of sexism. Have you had to deal with sexism?
Oh yeah. I think sexism, racism for being Latin American, and living in England. I definitely have, but that has never stopped me. And I think I've always stand up for myself, and I'm not afraid of doing that at all. I think there's so many tools nowadays as well, that we can do that, especially in different companies. You might have human resources, so you can speak to someone in the company, or even there's other ways to go about it as well. But yeah, 100%. I think one of my first jobs when I got to England and the pandemic was happening, I couldn't get a job. Like there were no jobs at all. Right. And I was like, okay, great. They're looking for someone to work at an Oliver Bonus store. And I was like, great, I'll do that. Who cares? It's a job,
Yeah.
And I did. And then, there were, certain clients that were coming in and they would say like, oh, where are you from? And I would say, oh, I'm from Argentina. It's like, okay, can I please talk with a British person, please?
What? Really?
Yeah. And they would say like, no, I'm British, born and raised, blah, blah, blah. And I would be like, okay, yeah, no worries at all,
I can't believe that.
Yeah. I think, and as well as a woman in university, I think I could really relate to Vera Britton and her story. And as well, I think that for me, what for her was challenging to convince her father to go to university to study. For me, it was very hard as well to try to convince my parents that I wanted to go and study acting,
Yeah.
And that might have not been the same because it's very, very different and a very different moments in life as well. But I think for me that was, it was hard. And for her, trying to convince her father of that was hard as well.
Absolutely.
But yeah, look, to anyone out there, like never give up. Like make noise, make your voice stand out and say what you have to say. Like never keep anything in. You can always say it in a polite way, in a good way, and if you have had really, bad treatment, whatever it is, speak up because you didn't come to this world to just be silent about it and agree to it. No, it's like nobody deserves that. So yeah, have the confidence, build that confidence.
Absolutely. And I agree with you with regards to, making your voice stand out.
Yeah.
Particularly in the acting world, there's this assumption that if you're docile and just let things happen, you'll have an easier life. But I actually feel like the more times I've kind of been outspoken about my thoughts on the situation in an acting environment, it's actually helped with the situation, made it a better situation.
Absolutely.
Like having uncomfortable conversations do feel uncomfortable, but life is like a long series of negotiations. And
absolutely,
actually, negotiating is actually like a wonderful thing if it's done, as you say, if it's done in a polite and empathetic manner.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, life is a series of uncomfortable things, but the sun comes out,
Yes, yeah. So talk to us about London. So how long have you been in London?
So I've been in London since January of 2020.
Wow, so just before the pandemic.
Yeah, just before the pandemic.
So what was your vision coming here?
Oh, well, my vision with respect to like how I thought life would be here, or?
Yes.
Yeah. So I lived here for a little bit in 2017 and I loved it. I loved the culture, the arts here, the people, and I moved here. But I mean, I never expected that the pandemic was going to happen. I think before the pandemic, I didn't know what it was. So then I was like Googling what's a pandemic. I think, what I thought would be, it was very, very different. So before coming here, I had an acting coach here in 2017 because I was doing a play at RADA.
Wow.
And yeah, I contacted her and she was like, oh yeah, when you're coming, like I'll rent your room, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, perfect. Like, I know you, I'm going to stay with someone that I know. And then unfortunately that didn't turn out well. And I left. And then I didn't have anywhere to live. And
Right.
it was literally from 1 hour to the other. So I got my bag. I went to a few hotels. And then I was asking to speak with the managers. And I was like, look, this is my situation. This just happened to me. And I have this budget. Like, is there any chance you have a small room that I could rent for a month or 2 months? And
Wow.
finally, one hotel said yes.
Really?
And they even gave me free breakfast, which was incredible.
Oh,
Yeah.
wonderful.
So yeah, and I was living there, and then the whole pandemic thing happened, and I was like, well, what am I gonna do? And yeah, it got to a point where I couldn't find a job, and yeah, I talked with my parents, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna reset. I'm gonna go back to Argentina for 1 month. Wait until this passes a little bit, and then I'll come back. And then I went to Argentina in March. Right. And I think on the 14th of March, just with the last plane. And then they closed the border. So I couldn't get out of Argentina until like October, which was crazy. And so, yeah, when I got back in October, yeah, it was a different story. I think I understood more like, okay, how to get a job, how to rent a flat. I had like my national insurance, all the little things that you need when you move to a new place,
Yes.
I understood that a little bit better, and I think it went more smoothly. But yeah, it was what I was expecting it to be. No, it wasn't at all, because I think that happened to a lot of people with a pandemic. No, maybe a lot of people were saying, "Oh, 2020, that's my year. It's my year," and then look at what happened. No? But you know what? It was a great year. I think still. No, it's I think, yeah, if you're healthy, your family is healthy, and yeah, we need to see life with a half full glass, right, and not half empty.
Absolutely. I mean, I do know a lot of people that really struggled over the pandemic. Various things like they lost people, or they struggled with mental health, or
absolutely
they started to question actually what they were actually doing. For me, it was like actually myself and my wife, like it was one of the most beautiful moments of my life, because I got to learn a lot more about myself. And it allowed me to kind of align my focuses. And so I think for some people, a sizable group of people, I feel like it's changed them for the better. And I agree with you, that perspective of a glass half full is so important in times like that, because you do have to look around and go, all right, well, what is good? What around me is good? What do I have to be thankful for? Because there are so many people who don't have those things. So you need to kind of focus on that, because as you say, our time on this planet is finite. So yeah.
Absolutely. And sometimes it really takes yourself to train your mind. It's like training that muscle, And I think it's the same. It's like maybe you go to the gym and you're physically training the muscle. Well, you have to choose your thoughts, right? Maybe you'll be like, oh, this is happening, it's all negative. Just be aware that you're having those thoughts. Say, okay, I understand those thoughts, but I'm going to rewire my brain right now and be like, oh, what's what's lovely, this tea I'm having right now, I'm so enjoying it, it's so delicious. Or looking over the window and being like, wow, the sun is shining.
Yeah.
You know, whatever it is, like it's that, it's like focusing yourself on the good things and not trying to like find the bad things and then thinking about that and about that and about that. No, it's like it's good to train the mind. And as well, I think there's a quote that I love a lot. I can't remember who said it, which is great. And it goes, the greatest challenge of a man is not, you know, when they're having a good time, but when they're actually going through challenging times. No, the greatest measure of a man is when they're going through challenging times. It's not when life is easy, you know?
Yes.
So yeah, it is a great moment to get to know yourself. And
Absolutely.
there's an equation as well that goes like event plus reaction equals outcome. So if you can't change the event, you can't change your reaction and actually have a different outcome, you know?
Talk to us about your hustle. So,
yeah,
you know, we're actors, and as soon as you finished a job, whether it's a film or a show or a television show or whatever, you're literally unemployed, and you're waiting for that next job to land on your desk. And obviously, we all have to knock on doors, and our agent has to do loads of work. But some of us, and myself included, have other things that we do to keep us afloat, not just financially, but also mentally. What other things do you do, you know, with regards to work to help you achieve your goal to becoming a full-time actor?
Absolutely. So yeah, for example, I always had full-time jobs. I used to work at Twickenham Film Studios, where I got to meet a lot of people there. And now I'm working as a sales executive at Dry Lab Media Tech. And yeah, we present the product to a lot of productions. And yeah, we're trying to help around because it's an app that actually really works. And yeah, I think for me, it's always good to stay busy. I think busy means health.
Yes.
And yeah, I think I'm one of those people that just cannot do nothing, you know. I can't do nothing. I need to be on the move and have my mind thinking about something and doing something. And yeah, I got the pleasure of meeting John Matani, who was one of the VPs of Warner Brothers, and he was the co-founder of Cinelab. And I met him, and he's an amazing man. And he gave me this great opportunity of being part of the team. And yeah, I honestly think being a sales executive, you do so much acting, you know?
Yes.
It's like, because you're presenting a product, so you kind of write your script, you know, you try to learn a little bit of the person you're going to present to, so you know a little bit more about, you know, the other characters that are going to be on the scene with you. And yeah, you go and you perform, but at the same time you're present, you know, you react to the other person, you try to keep them entertained or whatever your objective is of the scene. And yeah, I think definitely all the acting tools are helping, you know.
Absolutely. And a lot of people don't truly understand the value of being a good salesperson. Like, it's so useful. You know, it gets you places. Steve Jobs, who changed the world, you know, everyone sees him as a technologist, but technically speaking, he was a salesperson. He was probably the best salesperson in the world, and he sold the future. And a lot of people don't realize that. Like jobs don't land on your lap. As an actor, particularly, you've got to get out there. You've got to hustle. You've got to knock on doors. You've got to create relationships. You've got to network. You've got to show people the value of what you can bring to the table.
Absolutely.
And also understand what values they're looking for. You know, like aligning the benefits of you to to what it is that they want solved. It's so important.
Absolutely. And I think as well, at least for me, I've learned so much more about this industry through my full-time jobs than actually as an actress out there,
Yes.
It's how the industry works, what production companies are out there, what's the process, then, getting to meet DOPs, producers, directors. It's just it's mind-blowing how big the industry is.
Oh, it's humongous.
Yeah, and how there's different ways of going somewhere, It's I really think that whatever is meant to happen will happen. Like the universe has those things that it'll show you. It's like, trust the universe will give you what you want,
Absolutely. I mean, you have to make your own luck, but
absolutely. Yeah, you do.
But at the same time, it's such a massive world that there's so much going on. You can get your teeth into a lot of things.
Yeah, but it is as well, like when you prepare for a role, right? And it's time to put it on the stage. You're like, okay, now trust your preparation, and let go and enjoy and be present. And I feel like that's the time as well. Like you need to trust the universe that all that preparation that you did and everything you've done, it will give you all the fruits,
Cinthia, we're coming. I can't believe we've spoken for the last 50 minutes. This is crazy. It's been brilliant.
3 hours later.
But it's great. Like I'm sure a lot of people listening will get a lot of value out of this.
Oh, I'm glad.
I've got a couple more questions I want to ask you.
Okay. Fire away.
So the first one is, if you were to meet yourself, like a younger version of yourself coming into this industry now, what advice would you give yourself?
Oh, I would say trust yourself and be yourself and no one else, and be confident, because everybody has their own uniqueness. So treasure that. Never hide it. Treasure it.
Awesome. And then just with regards to, I know loads of people here who are listening to this or want to get in contact with you. What's the best way for them to get in contact with you? Of course. So my email address is cynthiaklein@gmail.com, or you can find me on Instagram. My name is spelled CINTHYAKLEIN. I'm on LinkedIn as well, or if you want to know more about DryLab, you can email me at cynthia@drylab.io. Awesome. Mate, thank you so much. It's been really brilliant.
Thanks, it's been incredible. Thank you.
No worries. Those of you listening, thanks so much for your time. Again, I truly value you guys giving your time to these moments, because our time is a luxury. So thank you so much. If you're sharing anything, please don't forget the hashtag Sanj Surati Talks, all one word. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, please be good.